Hello and welcome everyone. Today I would want to actually talk about something that is going to affect New Mexico specifically, since this is my home state. Imagine a New Mexico where wildlife conservation is no longer just about hunting and fishing, but about protecting all species. That is exactly what Senate Bill 5 is trying to do. But it is a good thing? Let's go ahead and break it down. Do you think that the New Mexico Game Commission should switch focus? Well, with our new Senate Bill 5 that has gone through the Senate on the 3rd, we are looking to actually make some changes to the actual overall organization and structure of the Game Commission. First, it starts by changing the name and renames the State Game Commission to the State Wildlife Commission. It is also going to expand the focus beyond game species to all wildlife conservation. It also changes how our commissioners are going to be appointed. It raises hunting and fishing license fees. And of course, it is also going to develop a nominating committee to ensure that there is a fair selection process overall. Now, what do you think? Do you think wildlife conservation should be focused on all species or mainly the hunting and fishing species? Please let me know in the comments below. So, with all that being said, who's actually in charge of this? Well, in order to become the new commissioner, you must have a structure set up to include a committee of a farmer slash rancher, a conservationist focused on non-game species, a hunter and angler that has been licensed for 4+ years, and a wildlife scientist with a master's degree or higher is going to be required. This is going to help balance out the overall committee to help make a more balanced decision that focus on every species involved, not just the primary hunting and fishing species that we keep track of. Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think that these policies should be balanced? Personally, whenever it comes to the balanced, we do need balance. There are too many species out there that are hindered by the loss of game species, including hunters themselves. But that's my opinion. What do you think? So while these changes do develop to include other wildlife as well, there are some big impacts that we are going to see overall. The current system allows the New Mexico Game Commission to focus on game species like deer, elk, and fish, whereas non-game species only received limited protections under the federal laws such as the Endangered Species Act and the Migratory Bird Act. But with these new changes, it's going to expand the Commission's authority to beyond just game animals. This allows the Commission to designate additional species for protections without having to have a federal listing, which will help us better protect them and better overall care for all of the animals in the ecosystem. Whereas before it was focused mostly on hunting, this is of course going to create new funding mechanisms for protecting at-risk species before they become endangered, which will help us keep a ecosystem in balance and prevent further loss of our natural resources. But what does this mean for our hunters? Well, there are going to be some key changes to this bill that will affect hunters and anglers alike. First, and probably the one that gives the biggest kind of pause for most hunters and fishers in this area, that is the licensing fee, going up from $25 for in-state residents to $35. It's going to also include the adjustments for inflation and things like that that we would normally deal with. But something that does get changed on this is anyone that does receive federal benefits like SNAP do get discounted prices for these licenses. Now, this does bring a lot of controversy to the bill itself because licenses are not cheap currently. They're hard to get for a lot of different game species. But in the end, it is going to focus more on the overall conservation and help generate more revenue to fund that conservation effort. Now, of course, with this bill passing in the Senate stage as of March 1st, the next step in the process is, of course, going to the House committee for review. Then it's going to have a House floor vote where it does need to get a majority. Any changes or amendments that come into play at that fact have to be approved and added into the bill to make sure everything has a good final version. Lastly, this bill will be pushed up to the governor for approval. Once both chambers pass the same version, the bill is sent to the governor. The governor then will sign it into law, and based off of the legislation that is put into the bill, the different starting points and effects will come into play, thus causing the bill to become a written law in the system, allowing for these changes to take place, and overall get us prepared to the final change. Senate Bill 5 is a major shift in New Mexico's wildlife management. Is this a good move, or should the focus stay on hunting and fishing? That is going to be a question we have to see with time. Conservation is a big concern. There's not enough people out there listening to the scientists that study these situations. The ecosystem, the climate, all of that, people hear climate change or hear changes and they just kind of tune it out. But this is a big change in this, and in my personal opinion, a step in the right direction. But what do you think? Leave your comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown of Senate Bill 5, give me a like, subscribe, share it with your friends. Keep informed. Have a wonderful day.